this is from the usage project, and I'm presenting on behalf of GeoCat, but also the project, obviously. And we've been using open source tools. I'm myself the founder of GeoNetwork. And so our attempt is really to have a product that we can provide to customers based on open source components called GeoCat Live. So we've worked a lot on the GeoCat Live user interface together with other partners in the project, and see how we could make spatial data infrastructure as a service evolve into a data space. That's quite a challenge, but yeah, so those are the main components in the open source components that we've used: GeoNetwork, GeoServer. We have bridge for the QGIS to publish data from the QGIS desktop, both metadata and services. And then we've started implementing OGC APIs on the tools, as well as support for DCAT application profiles, native as well as on ISO metadata standards. We've looked at connectors. We haven't really, I think, as mentioned before, we were a bit early on, I think, in trying to use those, and we haven't really managed. But we have implemented Keycloak in the live solution itself to have a single sign-on that also works with OAuth and so on. So one of the big things that we started with was user interface and user experience work. We've worked with partners in the project to create a new UI front end, different iterations there. And we wanted to implement it in Angular. We have only gotten to the AngularJS so far version of it, but it's definitely input to the next generation of UI components. So it's for us, we consider it the revolution, not an evolution. It's a transition to a more app-driven architecture. We are working towards a Spring Boot application-based version of GeoNetwork, as well as GeoServer. And those, yeah, the development goes hand in hand with deployments of GeoCat Live infrastructure. One of the things that we really want to do is be able to have all the metadata created for geospatial content in ISO 19115, 19119, so on, to be accessible also as DCAT, different application profiles. And so we're working on an embedded conversion of those original ISO metadata straight into different application profiles. And then there's also work to have a native DCAT schema support, where you can describe any type of other open data. So there's been quite a lot of work, and is really ongoing as we speak. We've also worked on OGC API records in the project. A first implementation has been done as a microservice, and then we've moved on to doing it in what we call GeoNetwork 5, version 5 development. That one has Angular user interface components for the HTML representation. And obviously it has the machine-to-machine interfaces using JSON and other output formats. Yeah, so a lot of work on OGC API records in there. It's a small and independent app, and the companion app that is a formatter app that does all the conversions between different metadata standards. And then on the front end, we want to, so the user interface part, we want to work towards a more application structure where you have smaller applications, one to find, search, one for the editor, one to manage access rights, contracts, and so on. Thesaurus management, map service components, and so on. So for usage, we now have a catalog and a maps and data component. And I'll switch to that. Let me check if I guess I just change the sharing now. So this is the front end of the catalog. 1 second. And what has been done by the project is provide all kind of content from 4 cities participating, both data services, but also reports and things like algorithms. We've added support for algorithms as a metadata format in the catalog as well. So here you have a new UI where you on the homepage can browse through different types of records. Was kind of inspired by Netflix. Move through different items in the catalog directly on the homepage.
It's called the current.
And then when you go into the details, you'll find services there that also provide input in the browser. Other. Here's more algorithm type of information that cities want to exchange, how they actually get and do processing on different type of data.
Service.
Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. And in the presentation, probably you saw the different aspects that we're looking into and really trying to get the data connectors at some point in place on top of the system, not as an external system, but native into the different applications, which has a lot of challenges. Thank you.